Salutations everyone, my name is Rexern, and this is going to be my documentary on Tower Defense X. Now, since I'm a long-term player, so for the sake of this documentary, I'll be talking this as from the perspective of a person who plays this since day one and actually enjoys the game. And keep in mind, I'm not much of an expert in the game, but at least I get the gripes of how Tower Defense X works. Without further ado, let's get into this documentary while simultaneously playing games. And just don't expect me to be distracted, but I'll be talking over while the sake of the gameplay. So when I first started Tower Defense X, or TDX for short, I was actually anticipating to play a certain tower defense game in Roblox because to me, when I heard from John Roblox himself from his channel, and I did subscribe to his channel. He now has like over 1 million subscribers or something like that. I was actually intrigued of his design of the game, and my friends were introduced me to Tower Defense Simulator back then, like around, I would say, kind of like around maybe 2020, like around that time. I'm not too sure. And they got me into Roblox Tower Defense games, and I was actually I did enjoy them, but it was a little bit underwhelming in my opinion. And ever since Tower Defense Simulator was evolved, none of my friends actually were want to play the game again. Sure they want to play the game again, but at the same time they don't feel like it's not the same game as it used to be back then. And so when I follow John Roblox's channel, he was used to be one of the I would say probably one of the contributors of the game, and I would say at least perhaps, how should I put this, like able to critique about the game of its ups and downs. It's not perfect, but it could have been done better. You could say the same thing to Tower Defense X. Sure, it might be his game, but it still has slight issues. But to me, I do enjoy the optimization of this game more than I would say other Roblox Tower Defense games. I'm not saying that like Tower Defense X is by far the best Tower Defense game. There are some other Tower Defense games such as Tower Battles, Tower Galactica, or I don't know, World Tower Defense, or I'm not too sure. I don't play that much, but this is the one game I do enjoy playing. And to me, the reason why I enjoy playing this because I enjoy the the concept and plus the complexity of design. Like pretty much you have towers with two paths which serves dual purpose rather than one purpose, and plus there's field efficient, which makes the game semi-realistic, and plus towers can actually die and kill by bosses, which not many people are into, but I can understand why people prefer other Roblox tower defense are way much simpler than this one in my opinion. And the thing is, I do enjoy this game a lot, and I might sound like a bias, but hear me out. I'm gonna try to stay as neutral as possible. I can understand why people like the bare bones gameplay, and the fact that, and I'll try to do my best to give my persuasion of why I prefer playing this game more than any other Roblox tower defense games. To me, TDX reminds me of BTD6 in Roblox. I'm not sure that's a good way to compare it, but if you think about it, it's like they have the field of vision, they have dual paths, as well as pretty much many other things as well. And the thing is, I actually played this since day one. So TDX was released in I believe it's on November 21st, 2023, and when it launched, it has over like 10k players. Almost killed the TDS player count, but then TDS kind of quickly come back to it, and they made a comeback afterwards. And the thing is, I actually do anticipate playing it, and I start been grinding the game out of it. There's a lot. Many people can argue that TDX can be a grinding game, which I do agree. Although you would say the same, you could say the same things from other tower defense games that does the grinding stuff. But TDX can be extremely grindy, which is understandable. Although I would say it's quite like at least the bare minimum that you don't need to like pay to win to actually do it, which some people might agree on. So when it first came out, there was like only total, I would say 14 towers, 16 maps, and 4 difficulty modes, which is not bad for a beta. I mean, this game is still in beta, and so 14 towers and 60 maps and 4 difficulties. I know I might be repeating myself. So you have easy mode, which is basically your standard tower defense in a nutshell, and you also have, I would say, intermediate, which is pretty much introduces the players the core mechanics of how this game's supposed to work. And you also have elite, which is basically a cranked up version of easy. And there's also expert, which is by far the hardest mode in the main game, although that was the thing back then before other updates was introduced. And the thing is, I do enjoy playing it. Sure, might be the best at it, like I said, and you can see I'm struggling right now, but my main focus is, like, I just want to be sure to have fun to playing the game out, actually. And the thing is, I do enjoy playing this game a lot. And when I actually start playing it, it feels a little bit semi-realistic, because it's mostly heavily military themed, and that's kind of fine, actually. And I'm more into it, but that's absolutely fine, because I just do enjoy this game. And the fact is, the towers in this game, to me, they feel like a powerhouse. They don't feel like underwhelming, such as other Roblox tower defense games. And I'm not saying that should be a bad thing to other tower defense. I just see, like, most towers in this game are extremely useful. And even the starting tower that they provide, which is the Ranger, which is like kind of like, think of it like a TDS soldier, but more useful. And you could easily just solo easy or sometimes intermediate with just Ranger. Back then, you really can't really solo a Ranger back then, because it used to be bare bones, but now it got buffed. You could technically solo intermediate with it if you know what you're doing. And this game, it's not for everybody. I would say that, at least. Because, like, it does require a little bit of thinking power, but at the same time, you don't really need that much thinking power if you're playing casually. But I guess then you might need a lot of thinking power when it comes to, like, extreme difficulties, like really hard difficulties wise, such as Nightmare, for example, which it was teased back then, but then they changed it to like more like designed for event stuff or other things. And originally I did trying to make a script of a documentary, but long story short, it's way too long. It's been like, I would say, in 1 year ever since TDX was released in the Roblox platform, and they're still in beta. They have come a long way. Sure, the developer team is actually small, but I still have high hopes for they actually make some quality of life changes to the game. Like, I could see there's many things they can do about it. So I want to go down the history of how TDX was evolved. So basically, on December 1st, the barracks was introduced, and that became the first spawner tower in the game. And surprisingly, it's a powerhouse, but at the same time, it's actually surprisingly fun to use because many people use cheese strategies with them. And it's kind of funny that for a spawner tower, you probably think it'll be overwhelmed, but sure, it can be overwhelmed, but at the same time, it's surprisingly powerhouse if you back it up with other units. And I actually do enjoy playing it, and at the same time, most of my friends who introduced me to TDS, they decided to join TDX after I encouraged them to play because the first spawner tower, and they mostly like spawners in this game. I could go over it about spawner towers on every history, but I'm gonna keep it condensed short. Spawners in this game, to me, feel like they're pretty good backline powerhouse. They're not just, cannon fodder. I mean, they can be, but at the same time, they feel pretty powerful in their own way. And so I would say there's a lot of stuff happening. I think in December 23rd, it was the Christmas event, and it was the first event that TDX released. It's pretty short, but it was a pretty fun event. It's like, I'll say like pretty small, but it's actually a fun one. So in the Christmas event, you have like there's only one mode, which is the normal mode, until Nightmare was released later when the Warship Tower came out. Funny story about the Warship Tower. I actually do like that tower, but it was like teased ever since the start of the beta because nobody could get it because it was not finished. and even people get it by speed running their rankings. It's that no one could use it though, because it's technically disabled, or I'm not entirely sure how it works though. Now, the thing I would say at least is the fact that in the Christmas event, I do have fun with it, and even my friends were playing around with it. The Christmas event was the first event that TDX was released, which if you beat it, you actually rewarded with the Cryo Ranger, which is the first event tower, as well as like 8 other Christmas skins that comes along if you beat like normal like 8 times by RNG wise. So you really can't choose, but I decided to grind for it because and there was a controversy update before the Christmas event. A lot of people said that when TDX first introduced skins, some people might find it like it was the most controversial update, that people don't like it because it pretty much promotes gambling. I'm gonna probably disagree on that, to be honest. Sure, you might spend a lot of gold just trying to get the skins you wanted, but to me, they're just cosmetic. They don't really do anything. Like, the reason why I also like this game is because microtransactions in this game are optional. They're not mandatory. And like, I don't need to like spend Robux to buy these game passes. Sure, the speed, you can argue the speed boost and the VIP partially helps, but then again, like I said, they're optional. It's not like helps you to pay to win that much. It's just only there to exist. And you can say the same thing to the skin crates. They're cheap, they cost like 200 gold. I can make lots of them if I keep playing this game a lot, and I can understand that why people don't really want to grind this game. It's not for everybody, and I can see the reason why people don't like grinding this game. And I really can't argue with that. So the skins in the game, I mean, they're they're actually pretty high quality, even though they might not be high quality as other Roblox games, but at least they tried. Well, John and his team tried at least. But I do enjoy this game a lot more. Like, I felt like I do play a lot more often. I know I'm kind of repeating myself because this is a non-scripted video, but I digress. So the Christmas event was fun, and I tried to do Nightmare. It was really challenging. It was like extremely hard difficulty, and like if you don't have like the right strategy to do it, then you pretty much need to re-strategize everything. And funny story about strategy, most people early days when they play this game, a lot of people rely on strategy documents. It's just insane. Like, sure, you can use this to help you to guarantee to win something if you know what you're doing, but at the same time, I just like to think my own adaptively quickly and actually figure out how to counter things. And the thing about like this game is that certain towers have certain things they can work with. They're not like obsolete or something. You can argue that Ranger can be obsolete, but at least he's viable on like earlier waves if you're only don't have the budget for other towers. But then again, you can also replace them as well. But then it's not like, you know. So the thing about I do like also like this game is the damage type resistances. For example, like when you hover at enemies, you can actually see their damage types. Like you have units with bulletproof damage, you have explosive proof, fireproof, and cryoproof. Laser resistance was not a thing until it was introduced in Endless. So that's that. And so I believe after the Christmas event, there's more content we get, and plus there are new towers, and as well as the Valentine's event. To me, the Valentine event on Tower Defense X feels like a mini event. It doesn't feel like an official event because the Christmas event, at least you can play like a custom game, and then you actually try to fight against a custom boss, which is Exo Santa. The Valentine's event, it's a bit of a mini event in my opinion, and the thing is, I actually don't mind. Like, I understand why, because they have a small development team. To explain what the Valentine event is, it's basically, in order to get the Valentine skins, you have to pretty much beat intermediate or expert, and you have like a 25% chance on intermediate to drop. The boss drops a Valentine card, while the expert, it drops like 50% chance. So it's kind of a gamble, but it's like at least I'm not sure. It's not for everybody, but I would say it's kind of not for everybody to say. And one thing I would like to say is, sure, you can, if you don't feel like you're grinding, you can also pay for Robux, but then again, I'm more of a free-to-play person, so I'm not much a person who is spending on Game Pass and stuff. And I actually do enjoy that event just a little bit. It's not the best event. There are plenty of other events I might talk about later. And I'm just scrolling down to the script because I'm actually not really prepared for this, but I do want to give my opinions, and I'm trying to be genuine about that. Now, after the Valentine event I think on March 30th, 2023, or supposed to be released on April 1st, there was an April Fool's event as well, and this might be a funny one. It's kind of a fun one, but at the same time, it's not for everybody. It's the April Fool's event's called Toilet Defense X, where it's making fun of toilet tower defense, and I don't mind, but at the same time, the mode itself, called Toilet Mode, it feels like an experimental difficulty where you have so much money to work with, and you can place all your towers on your current loadout and try to take down a 3 million HP boss. It's not really threatening. Sure, it can kill your towers and stuff, but to me, it feels like an experimental mode to see. And John Roblox himself said that the Toilet Mode is basically an experimental mode designed to for the upcoming Endless Mode, and once the basically when Toilet Mode was out, it was pretty much a great way to earn like a lot of gold and XP because people have been grinding that a lot. Sure, it might be a cringy mode that not everybody enjoy, but at least it was fun for most players, though. And so, now speaking of Endless mode, oh boy, there's a lot to talk about Endless Mode. To me, Endless Mode is by far the best update in this game, in my opinion. I mean, you can argue there's other events that actually best this, but I actually do like Endless Mode a lot. Sure, it can be repetitive and all, but at the same time, it's a fun mode. I actually do enjoy playing it when it first came out. Endless Mode is like what I really wanted on a tower defense game. Like, remember how I said BT6 feels similar to this game, but like on a Roblox platform? Endless Mode to me, it's basically like a test of endurance of how far you can go in order to get the highest reward as possible. So, like, kind of like, our goal is to reach wave 100, and since we beat wave 100, let's see if we can go higher or something like that. I got that same vibe from that, and it was a lot of fun. And sure, they reuses the boss from other modes, but they also introduced new new bosses as well, along with different resistance. And I mentioned laser resistance wasn't even a thing back then until Endless, and it creates a lot of complexity. Like, you don't have to like use one tower all the time to be like a meta game. You could also argue that the new golden towers are pretty much meta, but they do still have their drawbacks in the game. You could say it's power creep, but I say it's not really that much power creep, unless you want to stick to like one strategy all the time and feel like 100% all it works. And I'm fine with that, to be honest. So Endless Mode, it's really, there's a lot to talk about Endless Mode. It's actually quite fun. It's challenging but fun, and playing with your friends is actually even more fun. Sure, you can actually solo if you have a solid loadout, if you want to just go for solo grinding. But I have a lot of fun playing with friends on Endless, trying to beat our own record, trying to go high far as we go. Back then, I believe when Endless first came out, there was only like 120 waves total. Right now, it's like 200 waves total, or 201, which is insanely ridiculous. And the fact that you can go as high as possible, you get like tons of gold and XP. It was actually worth it, actually. Now, the thing is, when I try play Endless so much, they're also introduced 3 towers, which is XWM, 2 golden towers, and power-ups, which I actually don't mind because it feels similar to BT6. And this might be a bit of a weird comparison. I shouldn't be comparing this, but I do enjoy Golden Towers in this thing compared to tower defense simulators. And I'm not trying to hate on Tower Defense Simulator, but to me, I do like the Golden Towers in this game. Golden Towers feels like a separate entity rather than a replacement of that certain tower. For example, like, you think that Golden Ranger is going to replace Ranger? Sure, it might do better, but it doesn't make Ranger obsolete. Ranger still is viable on certain aspects. And Golden Ranger, while sure it does a lot 2 times better than Ranger, it still has its weakness and drawbacks wise. You could argue the same thing with Golden Juggernaut versus regular Juggernaut. It's pretty much that. And it's proven that Juggernaut can be much better than Golden Jug on certain cases because, once again, laser resistance is a thing, and it depends on the cost efficiency on towers. And I would say I actually do enjoy a lot, and I think I should probably keep on moving on. There's other things. There are other small events such as limited skins and towers and all, which I don't mind. Kind of like the Independence Day skins. I collect all of them. And there's one event I also want to talk about after the Endless update, and that's gonna be is the Tower Battles event. Oh boy, the Tower Battles event. That was a lot of fun. I do like how John Roblox and his team decides to collaborate with Tower Battles of all tower defense game. Tower Battles is basically one of the founding figures of Roblox tower defense games back in the old days, and what they did was amazing. They recreated the Tower Battles game mode in Tower Defense X. It's not like a full remake. It feels like a remix version because the original Tower Battles game has like 40 waves, and they made normal version. There's Nightmare version as well. Normal has like 35 waves total, and Nightmare has 40 waves, but it's like kind of like amped up, crank up the difficulty pretty high because of the shield system, which is introduced from Endless. When I first played the Tower Battles event, I actually find it surprisingly enjoyable. Heck, I even enjoy it more than the actual Tower Battles game because it feels more polished. Because Tower Battles back then was not really optimized. Because like I would say it doesn't feel optimized. Sure, you can still play it, but like there's a lot of unoptimization issues. I'm not saying that Tower Battles is a bad thing, but it's always a good nostalgia for some people to come back. And to me, if you ever ask me to play which Tower Battles I play, I would like TDX version because it feels more polished, but at the same time it hits the same feel nostalgic. Not only that, the Tower Battles event also introduces not just the game mode, but also they bring back 5 maps from the game. I believe it's Borderlands, Military HQ, Pawn, Grassland, and Western. And not only that, they also introduced more Tower Battle skins, and they actually decided to do a Battle Pass, and they actually released 2 Tower Battles exclusive towers. And the unique thing is they all have one path, just to recreate of how Tower Battles back then only used to have one path only. And so these 2 Tower Battles towers and TDX are the Commander and the Zed. And those are pretty good choices because the Commander is pretty much a really good support tower that not only it just buffs the damage towers, but also can be utility purpose, like summon an APC, or you could call airstrikes for free, kind of like a free power up version. And the Zed, well, some people might not like the Zed. To me, the Zed feels like a powerhouse backliner in terms of damage wise, not for overwhelming numbers, because there's another tower that relates to that. But that's besides the point. And honestly, I actually do enjoy it. Sure, the Battle Pass, maybe people argue that it might be grindy. Like, getting the Zed and the Commander feels extremely good when it comes to Battle Pass tokens, but the way how you get tokens in this game of when it comes to Battle Pass event is basically you have to play you can play any game mode you want, but you get more tokens if you play the designated event, depending on normal or nightmare, if you're very skilled enough for it. Now, and I'm gonna be fully honest, I actually did complete the battle pass. Well, not like really actively, because I decided to stop at a certain tier, because I was only focused on Zed as the last event towers, because I was planning to get all the event towers and the skins only. I didn't care about the extra XP and the extra gold, because I was, by the time I reached like level 150, I felt like I'm on peak of pretty much I own everything in this game, except for just grinding gold, because that's my main priority. But if I was like level 100, then XP should be my priority to level up a lot. So the thing about is with the Tower Battles event, I still enjoy it. I do have a footage of me soloing it and trying to go for the true Tower Battles experience. It was a lot of fun. I will hand it to John and his dev team did a good job. And also that there was like a lot of, I would say, there's a lot of updates after the Tower Battles event, and there are like quality of life changes, which is a pretty good thing. And I believe currently where we are is the Halloween event, and oh boy, oh my goodness, the Halloween event. Where do I even start? First, it starts pretty small, which, you know, it's not much, but like when it goes progressively adding more updates, oh man, they step it up. They actually changed the formula just slightly, I would say. And I honestly do actually like how they try to innovate things. So chapter 1 is basically pretty much easy, because like you can just pretty much solo with just Ranger. But chapter 2, they introduced the multipath system, which is actually surprisingly fun. And when it came out with chapter 3, oh boy, man, they actually changed the formula. Like, instead of like just defending like the track like this and reach it all the way to the end, you have to defend an objective, and it's like so cool. I like the concept idea, and I did play it earlier. I tried to solo it, but I failed. But it doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say is, I actually do enjoy this kind of gameplay, and if this is a permanent thing, there's so much possibilities that John and his dev team could potentially do. It's just amazing how they able to create this. And chapter 4 came out. This might be a bit of a controversial one, because chapter 4, some people in this community, in the TDX community, think it's underwhelming, and even John says it himself. It feels like it's rushed. Even though it's rushed, it still carries the same concept from chapter 3. It's still pretty hard. Sure, it's a lot of time consuming, but it still felt hard regardless, because I might not be an expert of this game, like I said, but at least I get a lot of enjoyment playing it regardless. And not only the Halloween event was pretty unique, and it might be mixed opinions, but they also made another battle pass, which includes the skins and 3 event towers: Scarecrow, Flame Trooper, and the Relic Tower. And so right now, I believe currently in the game we have like 31 towers, which is quite a lot for a beta, to be honest. And to me, even though this game does not feel like a beta to some people, I still have high hopes to believe that the full game, I was gonna plan with my friends and I who enjoy this game. We're gonna plan to make a tier list video, and probably see a tower tier list video specifically. And I'm gonna say there's like a lot of potential for this game. Now, when it comes to me, when I think of how they can improve this game, my suggestion is this: I wish there's a way that you could actually do a money sharing system, just like in BTD 6. Like, imagine you're like being a support farmer, like spam top half, and then you pretty much have a lot of money, but you don't have any other good towers. So when your friend has really expensive towers, you give them the money to that person, and they feel like you're contributing to the team. That might be hard to implement due to framework or development design, but I could see it could be possible. I mean, they actually managed to make the multi-path system and actually made a new game mode, which takes a lot of time and effort, but I could see that might not work. So, in conclusion, I say Tower Defense X, to me, for 1 year of development, this game is actually pretty strong, and it's actually a lot of fun. It's not for everybody, but for people who like they like hardcore tower defense games and they want something more challenging and complexity, I would recommend Tower Defense X of all tower defense games. And if optimization is your thing, I also do recommend it as well. But if you really want something bare bones and something easy to learn, then there are other tower defense games might be better than this, though, so don't take my word for it. And I'm not much of an expert, I would say. So, yes, so this is Rexern, and I want to thank everyone who've been listening to me for this long second video. And I would say I might not making do any more videos, but just because I had to deal with pretty much a lot of education and plus my family, it's pretty loud, and doing my own recording session is not ideal because there's a lot of background issues I had to deal with all the time. So anyways, my name is Rexern, and I'll probably see you in another video. Good luck and farewell to everyone.